Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's Benedict here again from the Lincoln Company Associates, and I want us to continue with where we had stopped. So initially we had done, we had created the variables for the prior period. We've also created the variables for budget and the variables for current financial year. So now I want us to move on with creating the variables for the input variables. So when you check on my screen here, we have from here we have input variables, but before then let me just take you up where we had created the user input. So this initially was our user input, we started with the period number is equal to int then in bracket enter period number, and then now again we are saying that if the period number is less than or equal to 0, we are advising the user to key in the proper period number. Then we are saying else the financial year is equal to input that is equal to int in bracket input and financial year. So when the user enters a value which is 0 or less than 0, we'll have an error, and then he will be advised to key in the proper period number. And then if he enters, or rather if he keys in the correct period number from 1 to 13, then again the user will be asked to put in the financial year. So let me take you down where we need to create the input variables. So here that's budget. So let's go down again. So this is where we need to come up with the input variables, or rather the period input variables. So the period will be running from January to December, which is period 1 to period 12. So again we are saying that if period number is less than or equal to 0, so we are telling the user to enter proper period number. Else if period number is 1, then we have these other variables. So down here we are saying that before then, let me just try to do away with this printout. So we are saying else if period number is equal to 1, OS combined is equal to pt.concat. So we are trying to combine the data frames for January actual, January budget, January cumulative sum, January budget cumulative sum, and then January monthly last year, and then January cumulative sum last year, and then December cumulative sum last year. So the data frames are being concatenated horizontally. So we are saying that ignore index is equal to true, and then sort is equal to false, and then we are trying again to replace the null values with 0, and then we are again renaming the columns from January actual to period actual, January budget to period budget, and then January last year to period last year. So let me just try to print OS combined to see what we have. So here we'll write print OS underscore combined it's a bit slow. So the period number is 1, and then the financial year in review is 2017. So when we print, this is the opening stock. So whatever we are calling the OS combined. So we have the period actual, we have the period budget, we have the YTD actual, and we also have the YTD budget period last year. So period last year we have 0 values because our financial year is 2017. But when we go back to our Excel data, when you check here the period for 2016, we don't have the data values for January to November. We only have December. That's why the values are 00 in our printout. So again, the columns here being named January, period budget, January, or other period actual, period budget, and then period last year. So in the end result, what we want to have is let me just try to show you the full code of what we need to get, rather what we need to have after having the full code for the financials. So I'll come here to this GUI.py. I want to run this code so that we can see what we'll have in our final product. It's a bit slow. So let me try to run it again. So it's taking too long to run. Fun. So let's forget about for time being, but what we need to have as the final product, let me just try to show you what we need to have as our final product when we finish creating the code. So what we'll have here, let me go to financial automation statements. So we want something like this. Before then, let me just try to close this. I've seen the code has managed to run. So we'll have something that will start from the user interface. So let me just try to log in. So here, then password, and the financial period is 2017, and the period number is 1. Let me try to exit, and then I'll go back to financial automation, then print the statements. So we'll be having something like this when we finish our financial, rather our coding for the financial reports automation. So we'll have YTD P&L YTD, meaning we'll have the period actual, period budget, YTD actual, YTD budget. So this will be for the current year, and then we'll also have the difference for the budget and the actuals, and then we'll also have the figures for the previous year, of which we'll have a period last year, YTD last year, and total last year. Then we'll also have monthly figures from January to December. So apparently we have the values from February to December being blank, meaning we've not reached the period for December. And then we'll also have the balance sheet in this format, and then of course we'll also have the cash flow, and after the cash flow we also have the schedules, or rather the notes to the financial statements. So this will be our schedules. So after finishing our code for financial automation, so this is what you're supposed to get. So let me just take you back to where we are running our code. I will go back to financial project.py. So now I will run this financial project again. So let me find out. Okay, so we are talking about the OS combined when the period number is 1. So we were saying that we'll have all the data frames from we'll have all the data frames from January monthly budget, January cumulative sum, then January cumulative sum budget, and then we have also January monthly last year, January cumulative sum last year, then December cumulative sum last year. So this one is the total for the entire period of last year. Then again we also have rather we're also trying to rename the columns as January actual to period actual, and then January budget to period budget, and then January last year to period last year. So down here we also have just a moment, we also have OS combined monthly. OS combined monthly, we are talking of opening stock for monthly figures, and the monthly figures, rather the monthly data frames we have from January to December. So here we have the OS Jan, we have OS for Feb, OS for March, and then OS up to December. So these are opening stock for the monthly figures, and then the data frames are being concatenated horizontally, so we are trying to ignore index is equal to true, and then sort is equal to false, and then we are trying to replace the null values with 0. So again we are trying to rename the columns from January actual, December actual to January up to December. So here we have Jan actual has been renamed to Jan, Feb actual to Feb, up to December actual to December. Then from opening stock, we also have the variables for closing stock. So we have closing stock underscore combined. So here again we are trying to concatenate the monthly data frames. So we are having CS Jan monthly, CS, rather we are trying to concatenate the data frames so that we'll have the monthly figure and the monthly actual figure, and the budget figure. We'll also have the accumulated figure actual and the accumulated figures for budget. We'll also have the monthly budget for last year and the accumulated figures for last year, and lastly we'll be having the total figures for last year. So that's why we are having the closing stock monthly budget, closing stock Jan cumulative sum, closing stock monthly cumulative sum budget, and then we have closing stock for Jan last year, closing stock for cumulative sum last year, then the closing stock for December cumulative sum last year, and then the data frames are being concatenated horizontally from left to right. So we are having ignore index is equal to true and sort is equal to false, and then we are trying to replace the null values with 0, and then again we are trying to group the data frames by category and ledger, and then we are also summing up the values. So we've renamed the Jan actual to period actual, Jan budget to period budget, and Jan last year to period last year. So when I just try to print, let me try to print the CS point, CS underscore point. Let me rerun the code again. It's a bit slow. So the period number is 1, and then the financial year in review is 2017. So this is what we have. We have period actual, we have period actual, we have period budget, we have YTD actual, then we have YTD budget, we have period last year, YTD last year, and total last year. So period last year, YTD last year, and total last year, the values are 0 because within the last year period we did not have the values for that period, because here we've taken 2017. So whatever we are trying to say that the closing stock for the period 2017 was 0. So that's why we are having total last year as 0, and then period last year also 0. But when you come down here to closing stock, we are having the period actual, period budget, period YTD budget, and then now also we have the values for total last year, because the period was, or rather we had the values for December as of 2017. When you check here, we have the financial year in review as 2017, but when I take you back to Excel workbook, is here. When you check 2016, we have the month of December, but we don't have these other months from January to December. So that's why the total last year for the opening stock is not there, but the total last year for the closing stock, we have the values for December. So coming down here, we also have OS combined, or the CS combined monthly. So here we have CS combined monthly. Here we are talking about the data frames from January to December for closing stock, and then again we are trying to rename the column labels from Jan actual to Jan, up to December actual to December. Then for other than the variables for opening stock and closing stock, we also have the variables for P&L data. So the variables for P&L data, we are having Jan monthly. Rather, we are trying to concatenate the data frames for Jan monthly, Jan monthly budget, Jan cumulative sum. We also have Jan cumulative sum budget, and we also have the data frames for prior period, which we are calling last year. So we have monthly, we have cumulative sum, and then we have up to December cumulative sum total. And then we are trying to rename also the Jan actual to period actual, then Jan budget to period budget, then Jan last year to period last year. Then we also have the variable for Jan monthly. So the variable for Jan monthly will concatenate the data frames from January monthly to December monthly. So we are having a Jan monthly, Feb monthly, March monthly, April monthly, up to December monthly. Remember these data frames, we had created them when we were doing the current financial year variables, the prior financial period variables, and the budget variables. And then down here we are trying to rename them from actual to these monthly figures. Where we have Jan actual, it's been renamed to Jan, Feb actual renamed to Feb, up to December actual renamed to December. Then after the P&L data monthly, we also have We also have the data, the variables for balance sheet. Here we have data underscore BS. For data underscore BS, we are concatenating the data frames for January cumulative sum, January cumulative sum last year, and then the December cumulative sum last year. Then we also have the variable for cash flow, and then for the variable for cash flow, we are trying to concatenate the variables for Jan cumulative sum for EF, and then the data frame for December cumulative sum last year underscore CF. So this variable is for cash flow, and then we also have and the variable for asset. For the assets here, we mean the assets which were sold or bought within a given period over a given financial year. So we have the data assets 1 to mean this one is for the data frame for January. And we also have this one for last year, and then we also have for the entire data frame for last year. So this one we are calling data underscore assets 12 underscore LYT to mean last year. Sorry, this one means last year total. And then we are replacing the null values with 0. And then lastly, we are having the data, rather the variable for investments and loan. So we have loan underscore invest underscore data, and we are trying to concatenate the loan and investment for January. That's why we are calling it loan underscore investments 1. Then we also have for last year January, and then we also have for the entire period for last year. So we are having loan underscore investment 12 underscore LYT. So now let's try to print the CS combined month, rather the loan and investment data. You see how the data frame looks like after concatenating. So I will write here print in bracket loan underscore so we'll print this data frame. You see how it looks like. So I will run this code again. But before then, let me do away with any other printer that is up here. So we'll delete this other command, then I will delete one just to avoid the confusion on the printout. I will rerun the code again. It's a bit slow. The period is 1, and the financial year is 2017. So this is what we have as the printout for loan invest underscore data. So this is the data frame that we have for loan invest underscore data. We have YTD actual, YTD last year, total last year. So the principle that we've used here is the same principle that will apply for all the entire period from January to December. So where there is February, we'll use the monthly figures for February, and then also the cumulative figures for February, and the same applies to March, April, May to December. So let me just try to uncomment these other variables for the other periods. So we have these input variables up to December. Now when you check December, you can see now we have we are saying here else if period number is equal to 12 or s combined. Let me try to, we are saying here that when the period number is equal to 12, OS combined is equal to pd.concat. So we are using OS underscore December monthly. So the data frames here that we are trying to concatenate are for December monthly. Then we also have December, the total for the entire period of last year, which is OS underscore December underscore last year total. Then we are also renaming the columns from December actual to period actual, and December budget to period budget, December last year to period last year. Then again we've resetted the index. When we move again to OS monthly, so the same principle applies that we used when we are doing the period budget or the monthly OS combined monthly. The same principle will apply when we are doing this one for December, and this applies to these other variables for closing stock combined monthly, P&L data, and then P&L data monthly, and then data underscore BS balance sheet, data underscore CF for cash flow, and then asset underscore data. Then we also have loan underscore invest underscore data. So the same principle will apply to all the entire period variables from January up to December. So I hope, ladies and gentlemen, you've understood. So I want us to stop at this moment. So when we come back, I will again try to create variables where now we'll be trying to create variables as we calculate as we do the financial report. So we'll start from P&L YTD, then we'll move to P&L monthly, then we'll move to balance sheet, then cash flow, and then lastly also we'll do the notes to the financial statement. So when we come back, we'll start with the variables for calculating the financial reports, starting with the statement of income for YTD. So what we'll be looking at, we'll want to get variables that will give us a report like this. We'll have ledger, we'll have annex, actual period budget, YTD actual, the difference, and then the previous year numerical values. So let's stop at that. When we come back, we'll will continue. So thanks a lot for watching, and let's meet again in the next video.